Hello, I wanted to spread some cheer, some good news, white pills, if you like. And I've been in a pretty good mood in the last few weeks since a certain manufacturer of a certain piss weak lager for people that can't hold their booze are getting absolutely BTFO'd because a weird, I'd say slightly mentally ill man who likes to pretend to be a little girl because it works perfectly in the algorithms pushed by the social media and has made him famous and rich. Well, seems that he's going to bring that company down, and hopefully this boycott continues. I love a boycott. The Obviously I never drunk anything by Bud anyway. I did from time to time drink Stella Artois. I certainly won't be buying that again. Maybe ever, depends. If they want to apologise, then I probably would. Although I don't really drink very much at the moment anyway. I got very drunk a few weeks ago and anyway, felt bad about that. Anyway, I also still don't buy anything made by Procter and Gamble because they own Gillette, and Gillette did that man-hating video a few years ago, I'm sure, advert, I'm sure a few of you saw it, and I still won't buy their stuff, so I love a boycott. And finally we found something that enough people were going, right, that's the point. That's where I leave this stupid, side of the cult that's pushing it anyway. So who knew it was going to be beer that finally broke through, but it's beer it is, and great, love it. And so the pendulum, the culture war, has stopped going one way and it's now starting to go back the other way. And I hope it keeps on going. And I watched a TV series and I wanted to talk about it, and it really made me think about this, and it's about the Sex Pistols. But before I talk about that, just along with the Sex Pistols, there were times when I was young that I remember hearing things that were really edgy and it being like, it felt naughty but it felt really good. So we'd watch, a friend of a friend would have a videotape of Eddie Murphy's Delirious, which was his first sort of big breakthrough comedy show. He then did Raw, which was brilliant as well, and I'm sure a lot of people of my age like me can probably quote it almost word for word. If it was on, you'd do everyone's head in the room because you'd just be, and then she said gunny guhu, someone will get that reference. Also Derek and Clive, people might be saying, who the hell is Derek and Clive? Well, you can look them up, and talk about edgy. That was Dudley Moore and Peter Cook, and it predates Eddie Murphy. Very offensive. To this day, still very, very offensive. But when you were with your mates and you listened to it, it was like this. And also, my older brother bought a couple of Sex Pistols records, and I remember giggling to Friggin' in the Rigging, because they're just swearing all the time. Brilliant. So, culture breaks through. It will never be what the system wants, the establishment, the ones that are authoritarian, because that's the point. They're supposed to hate it because they've got a stick up their ass, and the culture needs to be challenging. It needs to push this, and obviously the arts have become extremely formulaic the last since the millennium, really. I think the 90s was the last sort of decade where it felt like new things were still being made, and now it's just reboots and sequels, and the music's so tame and boring, but there's stuff breaking through. There's a couple of rappers, not that I know anything about hip-hop. I used to like rap and hip-hop when I was a kid, and then when it became gangster rap, I was like, I can't relate, and lost interest in that. But and I think that became the formula as well, didn't it? So your record producers, the studios, would say, well, no, more of that, please. Right, so every rapper has to sort of look this way, and this is what they got to sing about, and we got to get women with great big bums bouncing them. Now, I don't necessarily object to nice big bouncing bottoms, but you know what I'm on about. I can't relate to that music. But there's a couple of rappers, Tom McDonald and a guy called High Res. I strongly recommend, if you haven't heard of them, check them out. You can find them on YouTube, and they're obviously very, very gifted at the art of rapping. But they're saying, it's what they're saying, and it's good. You will like it. So culture is going to break through. They're censored, but they get bigger and bigger because you just can't you can't keep the pressure on. You can. It's like someone spinning plates, or someone trying to stop a leak in a dam. You put your finger in one hole, but then it comes out somewhere else. So the pressure builds. It has to come out somewhere. So to the Sex Pistols, there's this dramatisation about them. It's on Disney. Sorry, it's on Disney. My daughter pays for it. I don't. And I've got a link to it. And I do like to find some old films from the 90s, 80s and 70s, what have you, anything but something made now. And, I don't mind it. But this is a new thing, and it's brilliant. The music, oh my God, the music in it. It's not just, obviously, the punk thing, which I love, but it's everything from the 70s. And it is wonderful. And if any sort of punk or music historians out there, this isn't, they say it's inspired by true events. It's not, you're going to pick holes in it probably, but I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. The message is there, the atmosphere, the energy that they had. These were 4 guys that were not good at making music. They what they made was brilliant to listen to, but it was like technically awful. But that was the point. The way they looked. So they were very much, their culture was sort of designed by Vivienne Westwood, from who was, I believe, a revolutionary communist, but probably still is a socialist, a champagne socialist now, I'm sure. But and her and it's always a bit weird when someone's walking past. Malcolm McDonald was their manager. And again, I'm pretty sure he'd be a communist revolutionist or something like that. But they wanted to start a fire, under the stiff authoritarians, and my God, they did a good job. But the look of them, and I should imagine they smelt really bad. They were broken by a system, an establishment that just oppressed the working classes. A lot of unemployment. The welfare trap wouldn't help, and obviously at the height of it is the mid to late 70s. You've got the silver jubilee of the Queen. You've got this contrast of the elites to these people are basically in the gutter. I mean, there's a scene in it where Sid Vicious is doing heroin with Nancy, and he says that he first of all did this on his 14th birthday when his mum got him some, and I was just heartbroken by that. I was just thinking, what chance does somebody like that have of ever fitting into what middle classes would consider polite society? So they did the only thing that they could do was to give the bird and say, F you, we're going to do our thing, and it was brilliant. But they were heavily censored. So the media back then, television, radio, and I suppose newspapers, and that was pretty much it. The internet didn't exist, and they were censored everywhere because they were so uncouth. And to be honest with you, you wouldn't have wanted them on your TV show because they're going to come on and just start swearing and probably like getting their bums and boobs out and stuff like that, because they had these these sort of hangers-on, the women that were just shocked by getting their tits out. So I don't mind that either for some reason. But they were there to shock the world, and they're a flame that shone very brightly but very short, as they do. And what was massive just disappeared, but the legacy, the memory still goes on, and I still rock out to their music a lot. So it just made me think, yes, we are going to win this culture war, because when the authoritarians, they've got no imagination. They can't create anything. They can just suppress. And so the art will come, whether it's going to be music, whether it's going to be film, or whether it's going to be comedy. I think it's quite likely to be comedy. I had a bit of an argument with Based Welshman, hello Based, if you're watching, about this. He just thought comedy's completely dead. And I was thinking, no, it isn't. There are a few that obviously have got the fuck you money that don't care if they get cancelled. But you're going to get some young comedians with talent that are going to go, hang on, I want to tell jokes about Biden. I want to tell jokes about this because I want to tell jokes about the trans thing, because it's gold. And the ones that are brave enough to do it, they'll get censored. but it'll find its way through. A bit like the pirate radio. I think that was in the 70s as well. There's a good movie, The Boat That Rocked. Check that out. That's about that. And they did what they had to do. They went offshore, far enough away, so it wasn't sort of British controlled waters, so it wasn't illegal for them to play music without the license, without the permission of the establishment, and play music that they wanted to play, that young people wanted to hear. So yes, there are some young people that are broken, that are going to just spend their lives on medication. They're slavery to the big pharma, they're slavery to the tech. They're going to live in the pod and eat the bugs, and I'm sorry there's some of them that are just lost, but you can't suppress the human spirit. There's enough out there that are just going to reject what's being offered. They're going to want to connect, and they're going to want to listen to music that's real. They're going to want to laugh to comedy that's real, and watch films that challenge. And was another thing that I remember being heavily censored, but again, I might have mentioned this earlier at the beginning, so sorry if I repeat myself, was Derek and Clive. Yeah, I did, I think, didn't I? So anyway, but check out them if you haven't. So hopefully another one, another white pill for you out there if you're struggling. Things are going to change. It's going to get better. There's going to be an awful lot of casualties along the way. This new culture, when it comes, I might think it's shit. I don't know, but I'll probably still support it, because if it's challenging the establishment, I'm all for it, and I think you should be as well. Anyway, let me know in the comments below any of your thoughts you got from this long and rambling video. Pleasure to talk to you as usual, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.